What is going on, guys? AT43 here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to fix your bumper fitment the janky way. So I've had this issue for a very long time, and it's a very annoying issue that I've been having. So if you come over here, we can see that my fitment is really good. It's really nice. It's very square, fits upright. But if we go to this side, it looks like ass. It looks like utter ass. Look at that. It looks like garbage. And so I believe that there's a couple reasons of why this is happening. Number one being, I think I've come to the conclusions that this side of the car has been in an accident before I owned it, and they just did a really good job of fixing it. And you know, with the amount of times of taking the bumper off, putting it back on, I think I've just ultimately cooked it. Now, the true fix would be new bumper, try to fix the core support a little bit more, and then new bumper bracket. These are new bumper brackets, they're only a year old. And the bumper, I guess, can use some new tabs, even though the tabs don't look that bad. But you'll see when I try to fit it up how it just doesn't line up. The things that I'm gonna be using in this video, it's the same as what I did in the rear. If you haven't seen the rear video, you're gonna need a Phillips screwdriver. You could do this whole thing with a Phillips screwdriver, but I'm gonna be using a drill here with a Phillips bit. And you're gonna need some license plate caps to make it look clean. And we're gonna need the screws. Where did the screws go? Here are the screws right here. Just a simple stainless steel screw. Here's the size that I'm gonna be using. It's gonna be small. I mean, it's long, but the head is gonna be pretty small, so. But you could just use the same thing that I'm using if you want. So real quick, I'm gonna show you what happens when I try to put this back into place so you can get a little bit of an understanding. So I'll lift this guy up and push it in. So there's two things here. You can see that this side is fighting really hard to get into the gap, and this one is creating a gap, a major gap. So in a perfect world, my bumper would look like this. Now, once again, that's a perfect world. And so there is something interesting that I did find that I think is kind of also confirming that it wasn't a slight fender bender. So if we look at the front here, you can see how my fender comes down in, and then it starts to pop out. Almost like, yeah, so it comes in, and then my bumper pops out to the right. And then you can see part of my tire here. So I'm wondering if the fender is cooked or if it's the bumper. Now, obviously the bumper's plastic, the fender is metal. So it would look like it would be the fender, but it's just, I can't, you know, there's no damage on the fender. There's no, like, you know, there's no like body damage or you know, nothing sounds like Bondo on here. So I don't really know what's going on here. I don't really care that much because this car is 14 years old, and you know, it's not a collector's car. I love it. I'm keeping it forever, but you know, it's just little stuff like this that I have to deal with. And like I said, it's got rust right here, which I could just use touch-up paint. I'm not really worried about that. I'm planning on getting carbon fenders anyway, so I don't really care. But yeah, so that's what happens when I try to put the bumper in place. So essentially what we're gonna be doing is I'm gonna be lifting it up, keeping it in place, and then drilling the bumper into the bracket, just like I did with the rear. And I'll show you in a little bit what the rear looks like. But we might have to do this two ways because of how this works. So I took the bumper off, and all I did was just screw it where the OEM holes for the bracket is. But this one, the bracket hole is all the way down here, and my problem is all the way up here. So I don't think that's gonna work for this one. I might have to just drill into the plastic here, like behind the bumper as close to the top as I can to get it to actually stay in. Because if I go from the bottom here and I drill into the bottom, it might hold the bumper up, obviously, but I think this will still pop out because it's not being held in. So I think what my plan is to line it up the way that it wants to be, and then just kind of drill somewhere into the top here so that it's right at the top and it actually stays in. We're gonna go ahead and get started. So there is a Phillips bolt. There's a Phillips bolt all the way back here. We're gonna go ahead and unscrew that guy real quick. Now, if your fender liner is also hooked up, which mine is not because of the sizing of my tire. That's something completely different. You're gonna go ahead and disconnect your wheel liner as well, which mine's not connected anymore. So all I have to do is take off that Phillips bolt. All right, so now that I took that Phillips bolt off of the backside here, we can simply just pull the bumper off. Just like that. And so you'll kind of see what I'm talking about here. So the two inserts for the bumper are one right here, one all the way down there, and one on the side here. I guess that could work. The only problem is though, is that this is a 10 millimeter. It's an actual like bolt, it's not a screw. The screws that I have here, so obviously if we take a look at the screw here, this is not threaded. It's supposed to make its own thread essentially. Not like a self-threader, it's just, you know, when you screw into the bumper, it's gonna make its own way. The only issue with that is with this being a bolt, you'll have to tighten it down super tight, and that can lead to cracking of the paint, and that's what I don't want. So I don't know if I'm gonna be using this bolt, because obviously with this, because it makes its own hole, it doesn't have to be super tight because it's gonna hold on to it anyway. If you drill out a hole using a drill bit to make the 10 fit through, you'll have to tighten it, you know, kind of tight, and that can crack paint. Which I can show you an example of the rear. The first time I did it, I learned that mistake. The back here, back one here looks like it could be a screw. So we might be lucky there, but my idea was to kind of just screw into these guys here and, you know, just kind of call it a day, because this is a pretty thick bracket, and to go through the bumper and the bracket, these screws should probably be more than enough. Okay, so I just tested it out and it looks like everything's gonna be good. So here's the idea here. Here's the part that you don't want to mess up, right? Because if you drill too low or you drill too high, depending on the placement of the holes, you'll have holes visible in your bumper for when you have to make your new hole that's actually correct. So what I'm going to do here is, I'm thinking a good placement for the screw is going to be this little square right here. I think this little square here will be perfect, because I'm also trying to make this look kind of like aesthetically pleasing, like I did in the rear. The rear fit up really well actually. So then what I'll do is I'll place my finger right here, just kind of hovering over it so that I know where it is. And then what I'll do is I'll keep my finger here so I know where it is. I'll push the bumper where I know I want it, hold it up like that, right? So we want a tight gap. And I know that where I want to drill is right where my thumb is, right here. I'll go ahead and get my drill ready. So it's right here. So I'll probably drill right here. I'll lift the bumper up and then we'll go ahead and drill it. So if you're having trouble, as long as you have your hole here, you can just start to drill through the hole. Now you want to do it slowly so that you don't crack any paint, but you'll pretty much just do it slowly like this. And just let it do the drilling. Don't force it. Don't do any of that. So we're actually through here. So now that I have the screw into the bumper, we'll go ahead and reline it again where we want it. I want it right about there. So then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and drill. So we'll do something like that. So it still looks a little like shit, but once again, this is the janky way, bro. This is not, but it definitely looks better. It looks better than what it was before. Obviously, this is our gap now. It doesn't look too bad, but then when we look at the back, like, it looks pretty damn bad, bro. Like, but from what it was to what it is now, it's not that bad. I'll take it. I know it's not gonna fall off anymore. We'll go ahead and pull this screw out. So we already made our hole and our placement, and because it's kind of hot, it also like low-key glues together. Not a lot, but it'll kind of stick and stay in place. So now we'll get our license plate caps here, and then we will go ahead and put the screw inside of the license plate cap, just like that. And then we will re-screw this guy back in. So we'll go ahead. And these don't really come out, like they don't really fall off the license plate caps. They're actually pretty good. So we'll re-drill it. Okay, so license plate is on. And now we'll go ahead and put the cap on. There we go, it looks better. Definitely looks better, man. Once again, this is the janky way, bro. Look at that. That already looks 10 times better. And the gap in the headlight tightened up. Yeah, it looks a lot better. But you can definitely still see it's popping out a little bit. And you can see where the fender comes in and the bumper comes out. But yeah, this is just like a cheap fix, bro. Like, I think this was like $4 in total. Now, a lot of you might be wondering why I'm not using the bands. Like, you have one up here, and then you would have one down here, and then there's basically like a rubber band that holds it together. It's because those kind of look, I mean, I know I just did this, but those kind of look like tacky, bro. I don't really like the way that looks. And also for the issue that I'm having, I don't really think that would fix my issue because I'm having sandwich issues here. Like this wouldn't even come in, and it's still not in. It still pops out a little bit, but it looks a lot better, honestly. Like, I'm happy with that because before this was all the way down here. There's still a little bit of a gap, but that's okay. Like I said, I think this side was hit. This was the janky way. I can show you the rear if you didn't watch that video to see how that came out. And so this is the rear here. It looks a lot better because of the way that the holes are. But yeah, and then I also did my side skirts too. The side skirts are what started this whole thing because I got them looking like shit. I also did an install video if you want to check that out. They're Duraflex side skirts, and they didn't come with any clips or anything. So all you had to do was put a screw in the back and a screw in the front, but this would hang out like tremendously. So I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm tired of it. I put 2 screws in there, made the fitment fit a lot better than what it was before, and then I was like, okay. So I did my rear conversion. This is an eBay bumper, this is not an OEM bumper, because fuck paying full price. And the fitment back here looked ass too. So I got new bumper brackets. The bumper brackets didn't do anything. I at least tried to do it the right way, and then I was like, you know, fuck it. 2 screws in there. The bumper doesn't sag, it doesn't fall off or anything, so it looks really good. And so, you know, been having this issue with the front bumper for a while, and I'm like, you know what, man? You're getting screwed in. That was how to fix your front bumper fitment the janky way. If you did enjoy the video, or if this helped you out in any way, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later.